When does Home and Away return in 2025 in the UK, Australia and Ireland? Home and Away is currently on its festive break in the UK, Ireland and Australia, but when will it be back on our screens in 2025? Home and Away has been off UK screens since Friday the 15th of November, while the final Aussie episode of the year ended Wednesday the 20th of November 2024. If you're missing your daily dose of Summer Bay drama, don't worry, the show is back in just a few weeks' time. When does Home and Away return to UK screens? Home and Away will be back on Channel 5 on Monday the 6th of January 2025. The first look will air on 5STAR a few days earlier, on Friday the 3rd of January 2025, and Home and Away returns to RTÉ2 on Monday the 6th of January 2025. Home and Away returns to Australian screens on Monday the 13th of January 2025. The time slot hasn't yet been officially confirmed, but it will almost certainly be back at its usual time of 7 p.m. on 7 and 7+. What's coming up in Summer Bay next year? UK and Ireland viewers, scroll down to find out what's coming up in the first few months of next year. For Australian viewers, we pick up where November's season finale left off, with Tim's life on the line. While it looked like Cash was responsible for Tim's injuries in Australia's dramatic season finale, we already know that Cash continues to live in Summer Bay well into 2025. Suggesting there may be more to the story than meets the eye. Nicholas Cartwright has recently been seen filming new scenes with the River Boys, who are set for a dramatic return next year. He also seems to have gained a promotion back to senior constable, after taking a demotion back to constable when he returned to Yabby Creek Police last month. Craig Hall is also set to join the cast, for what appears to be part of Nerida, Cash and Tim's story. Craig, previously Victor Stone on Neighbours. An Instagram video posted by a cast member earlier this year showed Craig on the set of Northern District's police station, standing behind Rose Delaney actress Kirsty Marillier. He looks to be standing next to Ellie Gall, who plays Nerida, Tim's vindictive former client. It's not yet known what part Craig will be playing, and whether he's in the police station in a professional capacity. However, if it is Nerida in the video, then it's possible that he arrives as part of the fallout from Cash and Tim's ongoing feud, and Nerida's search for revenge. The Aussie season finale also saw Harper and her unborn baby in danger, but fans have recently seen filming which seems to confirm that Harper will give birth to her baby boy next year. Fan Sarah Gaze visited Palm Beach as part of the Home and Away tour, and saw the cast filming a scene featuring Harper, Tane and their newborn baby. The pair were spotted chatting at the coffee cart with their newborn in tow, and were all smiles as they played with their son. As announced in October, Dean and Ziggy will be returning to Home and Away in 2025, in special scenes filmed in Queensland. Producers haven't announced what causes us to be reunited with the pair, simply describing it as a top-secret storyline that will play out at a yet-to-be-announced date. Early 2025. We do know that their return will involve the River Boys, with Patrick O'Connor revealing to the Daily Telegraph Confidential that there's a bit of River Boy action. There's a bit of road trips with them. The River Boys made a brief return earlier this year, as we were introduced to new leader Rory and his best friend Dingo. Rory may now be behind bars, but the gang lives on, and they're set for another return to Summer Bay in 2025. Theo also looks to find himself caught up in the boys' drama. Earlier in October, fan Ashton Richardson witnessed a scene being filmed where Cash and his colleagues arrested a number of the new River Boys. Intriguingly, Theo was front and center as the gang members were rounded up. What part has he played in the boys' activities? The scene saw Cash and colleagues swooping on the gang, making numerous arrests as they bundled the members into police cars. Among the new Riverboy cast was believed to be actor Tom Wilson, who previously starred as Ryder's friend Blake Golan in 2019. Cash was seen bundling the handcuffed character into the back of his police car before dealing with the rest of the gang. Also involved was actress Sophia Pennington, who is followed by a number of the Home and Away cast on Instagram, suggesting that she could be a permanent new addition to the show. Could Sophia be playing Summer Bay's newest River Girl? The video sees Lacey talking to a bad boy character who has recently been arrested for his part in a brawl, though he's keen to point out that he was only watching a brawl. There's a big difference. The male character is planning a race day, but runs into difficulties when one of the co-organizers lands himself in trouble after punching a cop. Lacey then offers to take over running the day. In late October, fan Megzy Johnston saw filming at Palm Beach with what appeared to be two brand new characters. She later posted on the Home and Away Spoilers and Info Facebook group that the characters were a River Boy and River Girl. Could they be Lacey and her car enthusiast friend? Aussie viewers recently saw Xander Delaney leave Summer Bay behind as he headed to Melbourne for a business internship. While he assured Dana that he'd soon be back, it's believed that Xander won't be returning to Summer Bay. Following in Xander's footsteps, it looks like his sister Rose is also leaving Summer Bay behind in the new year. In early October, fan of the show Belinda Sinclair witnessed Kirsty filming Rose's departure scene at Palm Beach. The scene saw Rose driving out of the bay as Irene, Kirby and Bree ran up to her, causing her to come to a stop. Irene could be seen handing over a leaving gift after Rose stepped out of the car. Rose then hugged the trio one by one, before getting back in the car and continuing her drive out of the bay. Kirby shouts "Go get M, detective," suggesting that Rose has achieved a promotion from senior constable to detective, and may be heading to the city to pursue her dreams. What's in store for UK and Ireland viewers next year? UK and Ireland viewers are roughly 2 months behind the episodes airing on Australian screens. So we already know exactly what's in store in the first few months of 2025. UK viewers ended the year with a separate dramatic finale in which Tane discovered that Perry had killed his father Carl, while Justin was stuck at a remote house with Claudia. Upon our return to Summer Bay, Tane has no option but to call the police to report Carl's death. And Rose and her colleague are soon on the scene. When Tane goes to get Perry from his room, the teen has disappeared, which only serves to make him look guilty. Perry ends up being hidden in Summer Bay Auto by Theo, whose similarly abusive childhood means he knows the pain Perry has suffered. Yet Perry's face is soon plastered all over the news. And after Theo brings Tane to the garage, they manage to convince the teen to hand himself in. Perry claims that his dad must have hit his head in their struggle. But the autopsy report reveals that there was water in Carl's lungs, implying that he had drowned and that Perry himself was responsible. Perry is charged and spends weeks preparing for trial, with little confidence that he'll be found not guilty. In the courtroom, things don't look good, as the prosecutor argues that Tane's decision to teach him martial arts was arming him with the skills he needed to end his father's life. In a break in proceedings, Perry's lawyer Jane gets an urgent text and rushes off. When proceedings resume, she calls in a surprise witness, Perry's mum, Kaya. Perry spent years believing his mum to be dead, but, as Kaya takes the stand, she verifies Perry's story of the years of abuse he suffered at the hands of his father, as she explains that Carl forced her to leave after threatening to harm her son. Perry is found not guilty, but any happiness he would have felt is replaced by anger. Why did his mum let him believe she was dead for so many years? Perry pushes his mum away, and it takes some time for him to forgive her, but he eventually decides to leave with her for New Zealand, with Justin stuck at the remote woodland cabin after Claudia threw his keys away. He spends the night in his car. Back in Summer Bay, Leah fears the worst, convinced that Justin and Claudia are having an affair. The following morning, Justin decides to head home on foot, but when he gets back to the bay, he finds his house deserted, and Leah's belongings gone. Leah has headed to Summer Bay House, where she announces to Alf and Marilyn that she's left Justin. After Perry's departure, Tane realizes that he has feelings for Harper after all, and the two begin dating. However, heartbreaking news about their baby is just around the corner. When Harper's next scan comes around, Dana attends in Tane's place. When the sisters meet with the sonographer, she leaves the room to double-check something with the doctor. And when Dr. Shaw arrives, she brings in Levi, who explains that the baby has a small cyst on its lung. It's putting pressure on its organs, which could result in heart failure if they don't fix the issue. Harper prepares for surgery after Levi explains that the cyst is still growing. However, Levi hides his fears about carrying out the operation, having never done it before. UK viewers will find out whether Harper and her unborn baby survived the operation in early March 2025. The final week of UK episodes saw Alf suffer a heart scare after collapsing outside the surf club. Bree froze when it came to administering the life-saving drugs, and it was on Levi to step in and save Alf's life. Marilyn explained to Levi that Bree was at fault, and Levi decided to report Bree, after explaining that her hesitation could have cost Alf his life. When her disciplinary hearing arrives, Bree turns the tables. She claims that Levi has control issues and that he swept in and took over Alf's case, and references the time that he forcefully took over after Remy's accident earlier this year. Levi then finds himself suspended. Will Bree see sense before she ruins his career forever? We met Remy's wealthy parents Graham and Nicola earlier this year, as it was explained that despite Remy's privileged upbringing, he decided from a young age that he wanted to make his own way in the world. In mid-February, his life changes forever when he discovers that a trust fund set up by his grandmother has matured and is about to receive $5 million. After taking a couple of hours to think it over, He invites Bree, Lyric and Justin to a lavish party of his own, where he reveals that he wants them to decide together how to spend the money together. He also wants to get Lyric back together, his riches meaning that they can play for pleasure without having to worry money. Lyric are officially back together. The new year sees Abigail bag herself a job at the board shop. And her new boss Marley soon realizes that he's developing a crush on her yet. There's a problem. Abby has developed a crush on Theo. While Theo and Abby organize a first date, it comes crashing down when Justin fills Theo in on Abby's history of drug use. With Theo having gone down a dark path with Valerie earlier this year, he reluctantly calls the date off, explaining to Abigail that he can't risk relapsing. That leaves the path clear for Marley. When Abigail organizes a gala day for Manta Ray boards, Marley is blown away, and he leans in for a kiss, which Abigail reciprocates. It seems a new relationship is set to hit the bay in 2025. In late February 2025, it's time to say goodbye to Xander Delaney. Recent months have seen him enroll on a business course, and he explains to Mackenzie that he needs to find an internship before he can graduate, as he's neglected to find one. He needs some urgent help sorting a placement. Mac hits up her contacts, and soon finds him a 6-week internship in Melbourne, starting in a matter of days. Not wanting to miss out on the opportunity, Xander packs his bags and says goodbye to Summer Bay, but not before he and Dana exchange their first I love yous. Despite its low-key nature, Xander's departure is expected to be a permanent exit, as Luke Van Oz is believed to have finished filming and is currently traveling abroad. Elsewhere, Levi manages to convince Abigail to begin seeing a counselor to get to the bottom of her addiction issues. We're introduced to friendly counselor Tim Russell, who manages to make progress with Abby, but before long Tim ends up falling for her sister, Eden. When Tim turns up at the Lyric house shortly after Eden has said an emotional goodbye to Cash, they end up sharing a kiss. Expect major fireworks when Abigail finds out that her sister, who she has always believed abandoned her during their teenage years, is now in a secret relationship with her counselor. In late January, after Mangrove River Police Station is shut down, Cash reveals that the only place he can get transferred to is a small country town. Small town policing has always been his dream, so he embraces the opportunity and decides to leave Summer Bay behind. He and Eden share an awkward goodbye, but soon after, Levi convinces him to remain in the Bay. When Cash later heads over to the Lyric share house to check things are okay between him and Eden, is shocked to spot her and Tim kissing in the back garden. Despite Cash claiming to have left Eden for her own safety, as soon as he discovers that she's dating Tim, he diverts all his energy into digging for dirt on her new boyfriend. After learning that Tim was Abigail's counselor, he looks up reviews on his online profile, and comes across a Nerida Mullins, who has left a review describing him as best counselor ever. Cash gets in touch with Nerida, who claims that she was a former client of Tim's but that they began dating, and Tim asked her to keep their relationship a secret. Cash goes to Eden with his newfound knowledge, and she fears that he's telling the truth. Tim denies having ever dated a patient, but Eden struggles to believe him, considering Cash has never lied to her before. Cash convinces Nerida and Abigail to report Tim to his bosses for his repeated ethical issues, and Tim is suspended. Yet shortly after, Abigail begins to doubt Nerida's version of events, and when she tries to get more details out of her, Nerida's story begins to fall apart. Cash realizes that he's made a massive mistake when Nerida doesn't deny fabricating her story, as she warns him to tell your ex to watch her back. I'd hate for her to get in the way. In episodes airing in the UK in March, Remy organizes for Lyric to rehearse at a mansion house on an island resort, with Justin, Bree and Tim coming along for the ride. Meanwhile, Cash heads to the Lyric share house to find it's been trashed, and he realizes that Nerida could be dangerous. He makes his way to Lyric's island retreat, where he tries to warn Tim of the danger he and Eden are in. However, by this point Tim is fed up of Cash's constant interference, and the two end up in a slanging match, which is witnessed by Remy. The following morning, a groggy Cash awakens to find Tim lying next to him, unconscious and covered in blood. Has Cash seriously injured Tim? Or has Nerida had anything to do with it? Aussie viewers are currently on their festive break, and will find out Tim's fate when the show returns on Monday the 13th of January 2025. UK viewers will see the scenes in early March. Dana completed her lifeguard training earlier in the year, and has been working alongside John ever since. In early February, Dana asks John if she's ready to drive the surf club's Can-Am buggy, but John turns her down. Dana jumps to the wrong conclusion when she realizes that all of the male lifeguards have driven the Can-Am, and that she's the only one who hasn't. She accuses JP of sexism, But John retorts by explaining that he's sent her multiple emails about completing her training to ride the buggy, but that she hasn't read any of them. Dana realizes that she was the one at fault and apologizes to John. But John is deeply hurt that his friend and shift buddy would accuse him of sexism. He ends their friendship on the spot, and changes the rota so that he and Dana no longer have to work together. Is Dana and John's friendship over for good? Meanwhile, Kirby ramps up her efforts to grow manta ray boards by hosting a gala day. She and Marley spend weeks planning the big event, with Kirby commissioning a photo shoot for use on their promotional materials. However, Kirby faces a huge shock when the new posters arrive, as she realizes that the agency has altered the images to whiten her skin and make her thinner. The agency explained to Marley that their changes would better appeal to their target demographic, which leaves Kirby heartbroken. Marley pulls the event and scraps the posters, but the agency words have a profound effect on Kirby, and she begins shying away from photographs, and shouts at one of her surf students as they try to record the session. Perry spent years believing his mum to be dead, but, as Kaya takes the stand, she verifies Perry's story of the years of abuse he suffered at the hands of his father, as she explains that Carl forced her to leave after threatening to harm her son. Perry is found not guilty, but any happiness he would have felt is replaced by anger. Why did his mum let him believe she was dead for so many years? Perry pushes his mum away, and it takes some time for him to forgive her, but he eventually decides to leave with her for New Zealand, with Justin stuck at the remote woodland cabin after Claudia threw his keys away. He spends the night in his car. Back in Summer Bay, Leah fears the worst, convinced that Justin and Claudia are having an affair. The following morning, Justin decides to head home on foot, but when he gets back to the bay, he finds his house deserted, and Leah's belongings gone. Leah has headed to Summer Bay House, where she announces to Alf and Marilyn that she's left Justin. After Perry's departure, Tane realizes that he has feelings for Harper after all, and the two begin dating. However, heartbreaking news about their baby is just around the corner. When Harper's next scan comes around, Dana attends in Tane's place. When the sisters meet with the sonographer, she leaves the room to double-check something with the doctor, and when Dr. Shaw arrives, she reveals that there's some shadowing on the baby's lung,